So 2015 was a bad year for me. One day, I'm on a journey to have a baby boy, and what seems like the next day, I'm having a miscarriage. In the blink of an eye, life threw me a fucking curveball. One good thing I do remember about this experience was my work wife, Ileana, who lives in the Bronx, drove from the Bronx to Brooklyn to bring me Brooklyn cupcakes. One, this chick hates driving from the Bronx to Brooklyn. Two, if you've never had Brooklyn cupcakes, let's talk after this. I have a lot of coupons. We buy coupons all the time. Sometimes I feel like as teachers, we can't have bad days. We can't have bad weeks. We can't have bad lives. We must always be ready to step up on that stage or classroom. So, and I'm also weird. I don't show my emotions. I keep to myself, sometimes a lot. So it was hard coming back to school after that experience with happy kids and pregnant colleagues. But c'est la vie. Fast forward to October, same 2015, we are getting ready for our advisory day trip. We take the kids on a college trip. My mom had fallen ill the night before, so I kept my phone close by so that my younger brother and I could keep in touch. Like my mom, I was born and raised on the island of Dominica, not to be confused with the Dominican Republic. My childhood was fun. You're in the Caribbean. I didn't own a jacket, didn't own any Uggs at that time. Small island living, the beach, church, home, school, music, lots and lots of music. I would wake up on a Saturday morning around 7 o'clock and my mother had already been to the market, gotten fresh fish, meat, fruits, whatever we needed for that week. I remember when I moved from the Caribbean to New York, I cried for almost like 2 weeks straight. And then I moved to New York in August 2001. When the Twin Towers fell in September, I remember my mom being so worried because we couldn't make calls and you couldn't get in touch. And she didn't understand the concept at that time that her daughter lived in Brooklyn and the towers had fell in Manhattan. She knew that shit went down in New York and her daughter was in New York, point blank, period. We stayed in touch all the time, phone cards, costly phone bills to AT&T, Skype, WhatsApp, name it, we did it. I never let more than 2 years pass before I traveled home. And eventually, when she got her visa, she was able to come visit. By that time, I'd already done so much traveling and so many things with my life, which just went to show the amount of sacrificing that my mom did for me and for my younger brother. So we're back at school. We came back with 100% of the kids. We like to fuck with them and tell them we're only supposed to come back with 94% of y'all. All right. Don't stand next to me when the train door is closing. Let me see you. So we're back and I'm packing up and I get a phone call, but this time it's my older brother calling. And he says, G, you need to come home. What the fuck? Yeah, you need to come home. She's not gonna make it this time. I remember grabbing my stuff, running down to my principal's office to Mark Fetterman, best principal ever. And in the midst of my tears, I'm like, okay, I gotta go home. I don't know what's going on. I just know I can't be at work tomorrow. In the midst of my tears, I'm telling him, you need to get somebody to get Letitia, who was my most recent student teacher, who my team knew and who I think would have been an amazing fit to just cover me. I don't know how long I'm gonna be gone. I get home that night, I get in touch with one work wife. I gotta go home, tell the team. Another work wife is on the phone with my cousin, buying one ticket. Mark is sending pictures of a credit card. Get this other ticket. Again, we'll meet in the back to talk about how you get to Dominica. It's quite a journey, but it's amazing. Let's talk cupcakes and Dominica. I call one of my best friends. Hey, I think I'm gonna need a dress. I don't say what. She knows exactly what I mean. Because she's a fashionista, I hate shopping. I go into my Chase banking. Do I have enough cash on hand? I don't know what I'm going to need. Ping, the Chase Quick Pay comes in. Hold this. I think you're gonna need some extra cash. And that's the power of my team. I don't get a direct flight. The next night finds me in Antigua, another beautiful Caribbean island, if you have never been. You just catch I'm just promoting the Caribbean islands as I go along. Luckily, I have a childhood friend who lives there, so I spent the night there, and I remember praying that night, Lord, no matter what you do, don't take her tonight. Let me get home, please. Let me just get home to Dominica. I'm trying my best. They called, and I left. The next morning, I land in Dominica. We head straight to the hospital from the airport, and the palm trees and the ocean just calm my soul, and I guess get me ready for the journey ahead of me. I'm looking at my phone. I get a picture from Eliana and Chris, our middle school dean, smiling up at me. P.S. I've kept that picture from since then, because this dude hates taking pictures. I walk into the hospital. Can't even remember any details about it, but I walk behind my younger brother. And she's there. She's alive, but she's in a coma. I breathe a sigh of relief and kind of quickly check myself. Remember, her prognosis is not good. From that minute, my younger brother and I make a pact. We cannot lose it at the same time. Only one person is allowed to lose it at a time. Then we start a grueling routine. Morning ICU visiting hours, go home. Lunch ICU visiting hours, go home. Evening hours, go home. The next day I get a picture from my team. It's our weekly grade team meeting. Everybody's there. I had tried my best to stay in touch, to send lesson plans. I have compulsive order issues, sorry. And I tried my best to stay in touch, to send lesson plans, and just to hold things down, even if I'm miles away. But that was so taxing and so tiring that most times in between visiting hours, we just went home and knocked the fuck out. Fast forward, it's Friday. I've been home for about a week, and we are at the ICU for evening visiting hours. Everybody's there, my dad, my brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, longtime friends, and P.S., the ICU evening hour visitors. The evening doctors were a lot nicer, so we took advantage of that shit. My brother and I go in first. We're dressed, gowns, hat, mask, everything. And unbeknownst to us, a surprise is waiting. A few hours before we got there, my mom started coming out of her coma. We walk into the hospital room, and she sees the two of us, and she shouts out to my younger brother, "Roel, you're in America?" P.S. My brother had never visited America. And we were like, "No, he's not in America." She turns to me, "You don't have school in America right now?" "Mommy, you're sick, so I came home." Mark said it's okay. "I came home to check up on you." P.S. When my brother came to America for the first time last summer, as he walked through JFK, that was the first thing he shouted and opened his arms, "Roel, you're in America." That night, she spoke to everybody, cousins, aunts, uncles, even the little kids. She kept on asking who else was out there, and we remember dressing the little kids in these huge gowns and taking them in to see her. Eventually, the ICU doctors pulled a few of us aside and said, "So we need to know if we should resuscitate her or not." Fuck the pact. At that time, both my brother and I lost it. One of my older cousins stepped up and said, "No, it wouldn't be fair to her at this time." Next day, Saturday, we're at home in between afternoon and evening visiting hours, and we get a call. "You need to come to the hospital. Her heart is slowing down." Now, if you've ever driven with me, sorry, there are a few people in the room who've driven with me. When they tell you come quickly, yeah, I come quickly. But we don't make it in time. My mom died on October 17th, 2015, at 6:05 p.m. I kiss her at that point. I tell her thank you. Thank you for having me at 21. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for always fighting for me. Thank you for being proud of me. And I hope that I had been the daughter that you loved. Oh, fuck. Sorry, I curse a lot. We buried her 9 days later. And I remember at that time calling Mark and being like, I can't come back right now. Like, why? I didn't want to come back to America. Don't get me wrong, I love East Side. I love my job, East Side all day. But I just lost my heart. I just lost the reason why I moved to America, why I worked so hard, so I could have given her everything that she gave to me and then some. He simply said, take all the time you need. I came back a month later to East Side. I remember that day. I drove in dumb early so I could get there before everybody. Again, my control freak issues. Eventually, everybody came in, and there were hugs and tears and conversations and just connecting back with my team. I pulled it together before the kids came because I have a reputation. Not gonna mess that up. Can't see Giselle crying, sorry. That day I didn't teach, I just assisted Letitia, and by all reports, she had done freaking well. She survived the death of my smartboard. She had to teach with, yes, the smartboard died while I was gone. She had to teach with whiteboard and chart. Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. Whiteboard and chart paper, yo. But now she's our 9th grade Algebra 1 teacher, so yeah, she's a keeper, yes. At the end of the week, my work wife, Ileana, hands me an envelope. There's money in the envelope, and I'm like, yo, y'all need to stop. Apparently, they'd made a collection, and yo, funerals are so expensive. And we had spent a lot of money, so I wanted to give it back, but I wasn't allowed to, and honestly, it did help a lot at that time. It's hard. I try to cope with my grief every day as best as I can. But one thing I know is I would not have been able to make it through this with my biological family, nor without my family at Eastside Community High School. At the end of the day, all I can say is they are my rock. Thank you.